Come close, dear listeners, and let me carry you to a city where the night sky shimmered with 1,000 stars, and knowledge was a treasure more precious than gold. This is the tale of the Whisper of the House of Wisdom, set in Baghdad, in the year 832, during the Golden Age of the Abbasid Empire. It's a story of a young scribe, a hidden library, and a secret that could light the world or plunge it into darkness. Settle in, let the worries of today fade, and journey with me to a time when dreams were written in ink and starlight. In the heart of Baghdad, where the Tigris River gleamed like molten silver under the moon, the souk buzzed with life. Merchants hawked silks from China, frankincense from Yemen, and manuscripts bound in leather so fine it whispered when touched. Amid this clamor lived Khalil, a scribe of 17, with ink-stained fingers and eyes that sparkled like the river itself. Khalil worked in his uncle's bookstall, copying scrolls for scholars who flocked to Baghdad's famed House of Wisdom, a library where the world's knowledge was gathered. Greek philosophies, Indian mathematics, Persian poetry, all under one roof. Khalil's mother, who taught him to read by lantern light, had died years before, leaving him a single treasure, a worn brass key etched with a crescent moon. "Keep it close," she'd said. "It unlocks more than doors." Khalil loved the House of Wisdom, though he'd never set foot inside. Only the greatest scholars, bearded men in flowing robes, were allowed past its bronze gates. From the souk, he'd watch them come and go, their arms heavy with scrolls, and dream of joining them. But scribes like Khalil, poor and unlearned, were invisible to such grandeur. Instead, he copied merchant ledgers and love poems, his quill dancing across parchment, earning just enough to keep his uncle's stall afloat. One sweltering afternoon, as the call to prayer echoed over the minarets, a stranger approached the stall. She was old, her face lined like a map, her eyes sharp as a falcon's. "Boy," she said, her voice a dry rustle, "do you know the tale of the Whisper?" Khalil shook his head, curious. She leaned closer, her shawl smelling of myrrh. "Deep in the House of Wisdom lies a hidden chamber, older than the city itself. They say it holds a book, the whisper of truth, whose pages can answer any question, but only for one whose heart seeks knowledge for others, not themselves." Khalil's heart quickened. A book that knew all? He laughed, thinking it a tale for children, but the woman pressed a tattered map into his hand. "Find it," she whispered, "before the shadows do." And then she was gone, swallowed by the crowd. That night, Khalil sat by his small window, the map spread before him. It was crude, drawn in faded ink, showing twisting corridors beneath the House of Wisdom. His fingers brushed the brass key at his neck. Could it be? His mother had spoken of secrets, of a purpose he'd one day find. But the house was guarded, its scholars protective. Sneaking in meant risking everything, his livelihood, his uncle's trust, perhaps his life. Yet the thought of his mother's voice, her stories of a world where knowledge lifted the lowliest to greatness, burned in him. He had to know. The next night, under a sky thick with stars, Khalil slipped through Baghdad's alleys, the map tucked inside his tunic. The House of Wisdom loomed ahead, its walls carved with geometric patterns that seemed to dance in the torchlight. Guards stood at the gates, their spears glinting. Khalil's heart thudded, but he remembered the map's note. The servant's door, by the jasmine vines. He found it, half hidden behind fragrant blooms, a small wooden door unguarded but locked. His fingers trembled as he lifted the brass key. It fit perfectly. A soft click echoed and the door creaked open, revealing a dark passage that smelled of dust and ancient paper. Inside, the air was cool, the silence heavy. Khalil lit a small oil lamp, its flame casting shadows that flickered like ghosts. The map led him down spiral stairs, through corridors lined with shelves that groaned under the weight of scrolls. He passed rooms where scholars had left quills and inkwells as if they'd only just stepped away. The house was a labyrinth of knowledge, each corner whispering of discoveries waiting to be made. But Khalil felt eyes on him, a prickle at his neck. Was he alone? Footsteps echoed behind him. Khalil doused his lamp, pressing himself against a shelf. 2 men passed, their voices low. "The Caliph's orders," one hissed. "Find the whisper before it falls to the wrong hands. Burn it, if you must." Khalil's blood ran cold. The Caliph? Why would he fear a book? The men moved on, their lanterns fading, but Khalil knew time was short. Someone else sought the whisper, and they weren't seeking answers. Khalil pressed on, the map guiding him deeper. The corridors grew narrower, the air thick with the scent of aged vellum. Finally, he reached a stone wall carved with a crescent moon, identical to his key's design. His hands shook as he inserted it. The wall rumbled, sliding aside to reveal a chamber bathed in soft blue light. At its center stood a pedestal, and on it a book bound in leather so dark it seemed to drink the light. The whisper of truth. Khalil approached, his breath shallow. The book's cover was etched with stars, its pages' edges gilded and worn. He opened it, expecting words, but found only blank parchment. Disappointment stabbed him. Had he risked everything for nothing? Then, as moonlight spilled through a high window, words began to shimmer on the page, faint as a desert mirage. "Ask, seeker, and know the truth, but only for another's sake." Khalil's mind raced. A question for another? His uncle, gruff but kind, needed help. Their stall was failing, debts piling high. "How can I save my uncle's shop?" he whispered. The words shifted, forming an answer. "Seek the merchant of Basra, who trades in saffron. His debt to your mother remains unpaid." Khalil's heart leaped. His mother? How could a book know her? But before he could ask more, a shadow fell across the chamber. A man stood in the doorway, cloaked in black, a curved dagger gleaming in his hand. "Give me the book, boy," he growled, "or you'll never see the tigress again." Khalil clutched the book, bolting for a side passage. The man gave chase, his boots thundering behind. The corridors twisted like a maze, shelves toppling as Khalil wove through them, the book heavy in his arms. He ducked into a niche, heart hammering as the man's curses echoed past. He had to escape, not just for himself, but for the book. Its secrets were too great to fall into cruel hands. Using the map's faded lines, Khalil found a stairwell leading up. He emerged in a courtyard, the night air cool against his sweat-soaked skin. But the man was close, his dagger catching the moonlight. Khalil sprinted toward the river, the book's weight slowing him. Then he saw it. A small boat moored by the tigress, its rower dozing. Khalil leaped aboard, shaking the old man awake. "Row!" he gasped. The boat glided into the current, the pursuers' shouts fading as the city's lights shrank behind them. Safe for now, Khalil opened the book again. Its pages glowed faintly, revealing a new message. The truth is a burden shared. Trust the one who knows the stars. Khalil frowned. Who? The old woman from the souk? He tucked the book inside his tunic, vowing to find her. At dawn, Khalil returned to Baghdad, hiding the book in his uncle's stall. He sought the merchant of Basra, a man named Omar, whose saffron stall was famed in the souk. Omar was broad, with a laugh like rolling thunder, but his eyes narrowed when Khalil mentioned his mother's name. A debt, Omar admitted, his voice heavy. Your mother saved my family years ago, hiding us from raiders. I promised her gold, but she vanished before I could pay. Khalil's throat tightened. His mother's kindness lived on, even now. Omar offered a chest of coins, enough to save the stall and more. But Khalil's thoughts were on the book. Why had it known his mother? And who were the shadows hunting it? He returned to the souk, seeking the old woman. He found her at dusk, her shawl blending with the twilight. You found it, she said, her eyes gleaming. But the whisper's power draws danger. The Caliph fears its truths, revelations that could shake his rule. The woman, who called herself Noor, revealed she'd been a scholar in the House of Wisdom, banished for seeking the whisper. It holds answers that challenge kings, she said. But it only speaks to those who ask for others. Khalil realized the book's danger. Its truths could expose corruption, rewrite history, or spark rebellion. He vowed to protect it, but not by hiding. He'd share its knowledge, carefully, to help those like his uncle, his mother's memory guiding him. Noor led him to a hidden guild of scribes, keepers of forbidden texts. They taught Khalil to copy the whisper's answers and code, spreading its wisdom in fragments across Baghdad's markets, poems, ledgers, even children's tales. The Caliph's men never found the book, for Khalil hid it in plain sight, its pages blank to all but those who asked with pure hearts. Years passed, and Khalil grew into a scholar, welcomed at last into the House of Wisdom. The book remained with the guild, its secrets safe, its whispers guiding those who sought to help others. Khalil's uncle thrived, the stall now a hub for storytellers and dreamers. And every night, Khalil would touch the brass key at his neck, feeling his mother's love in its weight. The House of Wisdom stood tall, its knowledge a beacon. And somewhere, under Baghdad's starry sky, the whisper waited for the next pure heart to find it. So, dear listeners, as you drift toward sleep, imagine a city where stories are treasures, and a single key can unlock the world. Let the tigress carry your worries away, and may your dreams be filled with the light of 1,000 stars. Good night, my friends, and may your own whispers guide you to truth.